Well, you know what it is, Jackie. It's like, okay, so there's been this contentious thing about, oh, is transphobia. I'm not reading. How do I get the comment? I'm not even going to look at comments, so it's easy if I just look up at the top. If I'm not looking at anybody, forgive me. Can I remove the comments on my side?
You can turn them off, I think.
I think you can swipe to the right or left.
No, never mind. I just won't read them.
Ignore them.
Yeah. So, when people say, oh, transphobia is not nowhere near as bad as racism, well, unfortunately, they're both a hate crime, aren't they? Yeah. So in the eyes of the law in 2025, they're both equally the same. Now, as a racial thing or a transphobic slur, everybody's going to feel it differently, aren't they? I'm not here to make any comparisons between one or the other, because why would I do that? I'm not black, but I am a trans woman. Do you know what I mean? And as I said, for 40 years, this has been going on for me. So for me, I thought it would get better, to be honest with you guys. I thought it would get better, but no, since social media, it gets worse. It's a fucking jungle out here. But I do understand why she did that. So in my eyes, what she did here, this one in the top, and I'm not responsible for what anybody says, either on the app or off the app. I'm only responsible for what I say. Remember that, and I know that I'm not responsible for what anybody else says. You know what I mean? That's down to them. But I understand, because in real life, back in the 80s and stuff, I've seen this happen. The way she reacted to what was going on, I've seen that in real life situations where things have been pulled, things have been done, and it didn't end up very nice. So now it's just, it's kind of done the line and stuff like that. So metaphorically, this one threw herself in front of a very big truck for us. Now, unfortunately, I don't see any physical injuries, which is good, lady. You're looking cool. But unfortunately, because of people's disdain, dislike, hatred, whatever you want to say to her, they're not going to listen to a word she's going to say this evening. They're just not. So that's why I've come up, and we've got these people up here to have a little chit chat about it. Because what people don't realize is when one person transphobically abuses her, we feel it. As I'm sure, just like in the racist side, that, people in the black community feel it as well. When they hear somebody in their community getting racially abused, they're going to feel that. So when I see it on the app, I feel it. But for me, it's a little bit different, because I'm a little bit like Queenie, you see, because I don't feel it like that. Because when it gets said online, it's just a stranger on the internet typing words to me. I've had it in real life for 40 years, so I know it firsthand. So I feel it a bit different. But I'm sure these men and women in the box here all feel it differently as well. But at the end of the day, we all feel it, don't we?
Absolutely.
And I just want to say another thing as well, and then we'll all start chatting about it, is that I get up at 6 a.m, 5:30, have my little first coffee before the gym, and I always have a little scroll. And I always end up, the 24 hours a day on TikTok, and I can assure you, 24 hours a day, there is a live being held about us. And they're not very nice lives, and they're normally held by non-trans people, which is really ironic. And the one I hear the most is, oh, in 100 years, when I dig you up somewhere, you're going to know that you're a man. Girl, do you think I give a shit when in 100 years from now, in 3025, when somebody outside the fucking pyramids of Giza dig me up and say, oh, Habibi, it's a man. As if I give a fuck about that shit. Do you know what I mean? It's just ridiculous what they do. These are a bunch of busy little beavers and haters that go and build a fucking dam and save a village somewhere, instead of coming on the internet and fucking... People don't realise it's a hate crime. So maybe if people started getting lifted for doing it, and people like me and my brothers and sisters just started, reporting it to the police, and people were getting knocks on their door, would that make it any different for them? Would they feel it then? So as I said, for me on the internet, it's just strangers for me. It's sort of water for ducks back. But then, there's a really high rate in the trans world of unaliving ourselves. And that's because of transphobia mostly. There's also a very high rate of SH, almost down to transphobia as well. There's a lot of young and old, whatever age, all walks of life trans people that will never press that live button on TikTok or share any funny videos or their story of their journey because of the transphobia, because they're scared. So what they end up doing is staying in a dark room on their own, and just, all sorts of things happen because they're too scared of what's being said. And another thing, I see some creators in the trans community that allow it in their comments. So we need to stop doing that for views and dollar and subscriptions and that, stop it. Do you know what I mean? We need to stop.
I was just going to say, where is there a tolerance level though? Because that's quite a. Do you know the idea that like you just said? I understand that some people tolerate and some people don't. Obviously, you, like myself, are very much. If anybody comes in with anything negative, because we're trying to do a positive live, then they just get instantly removed. Whereas, just as an example, EQ, who has so many people coming through that even a moderator struggle to maintain, that it's not so much that they're letting it ride, it's just that they're struggling to maintain. So where is the tolerance? Like, because obviously they'll be advised, stick to specific comments as opposed to somebody just coming in and throwing a random nonchalant comment in. How do you, where's the differentiation between that?
You see, for me, there's also the sneaky comments that people don't even realize there's underlying comments. And in my life, as you know, my mods get that. I get, because I've heard it all before for 40 years. I've heard all these little where, oh, it's not, I wasn't being transphobic. Yeah, you were. You just weren't being blatant about it. But the thing where the line is, that's why EQ let us do this. And I wanted to get you guys up to get your opinion, because for me, I am at that. I'm so desensitized to it. Do you know what I mean? I'm an old lady. I'm nearly 60. Not old, but do you know what I mean? And in 20 years, I won't be here probably. Who knows? But then it's still going to carry on. It's just...
The thing to do is to entertain it, because I've realised, like for me, I don't get that much of it online anymore, because when people say it, I either come back and say something that's so satire about it, or we'll use the T-slur openly and go, if you're going to call me one, I'll call myself one. What are you going to do about it? Do you know what I mean? And I come at it with that attitude. But I feel like the more that you feed into something, the more that people will do it. And because they're getting a reaction out of you, whether it be a positive reaction or a negative reaction, they will keep going at you and going at you and going at you until, as horrible as it sounds, they're going to move on to the next person. And it's the same with anything.
But Dimitri, not everybody's as strong as that, you see, in our world. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of people just, so anybody else up here that it really affects you.
If the other side of it is, sorry, just to jump in, not only does it potentially affect us, but over a long period of time, even the strongest people are constantly, day in, day out, hearing that kind of abuse, eventually it does have some sort of effect. And secondly, the people that are in your lives that come in on a regular basis, that do actually care about you and do want to be there and take part and feel love, they also feel it as well. So that there's an element of I know we're specifically here for this, but it is felt by few, by a fair few as well as ourselves.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know what EQ did. You know the way she reacted. Do you understand why she did that?
Yeah.
You get why she actually threw herself in front of the truck.
100%. Any one of us would have reacted. Well, I'd like to think we would. I'm not sure whether we would have had the strength to, but yeah.
Personally, I would never react like that, but that's just me. But what it is, I see the point of why she did it is because when I see a lot of, other stuff going on inside these drama pages, they all, I don't get involved inside TikTok, but I've seen a lot in the past week. And when it comes to transphobia, I've noticed it's very glossed over. It's very food. Unless we've done something wrong.
It's classed as a laugh, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not a laugh though, is it? Because when it's done in another way, either racism, anti-Semitism, all that kind of stuff, all the other stuff, it's really highlighted a lot. And it just feels to me that we're not even noticed for it. It doesn't, they're just the brannies. It don't, they're tough because they think what we have to go through, that we are so tough and everything that we have to take it. Well, we don't have to take it. Why should we?
I feel like a lot of people don't understand what trans people go through as well. People just think that it's hormones and just surgeries and that's it.
Yeah.
But it's not just that. It's the psychological effects. It's the fact is we have to wait years to even be told that we're transgender by the NHS to be able to get surgeries that are really bloody expensive, especially lower half surgery for most trans people. We ain't got fucking 40 to 70k lying around. People don't understand that it's so fucking difficult trying to be ourselves, then trying to let other people, like, for me, I don't expect anybody to understand what I'm going through from lived experience, but all I expect is just people just to respect me for me, and that's the bottom line, and that's how it should be.
And the fact is that people like,
here and educate people on it. It's just treat us as if we're the exact same as you. We can't help that we were born in the wrong fucking body, but you can help how you see us and how you view us, and that's simply that. You know what I mean?
But the thing is, we've been trying to do that, and it's getting worse, and it keeps happening. And this one in the top box popped her lid and reacted the way she did. I mean, Kai, do you know what? Do you get it?
What I get it because when you're put in a situation
Sorry, Dimitri,
like
one
that.
sec.
Sorry.
Do you get
I
it?
also, jumping on what Dimitri said though, like people do assume that we can just go to the doctors and they put us on hormones like that, and they're like, here you go. And then you get the trolls and the haters telling us that we're making it easier for children to transition, and we're pushing it down their throats because they think they can just go to the doctors and get hormones. But it's not that. You've got counselling, you've got therapy, you've got to get that diagnosis. You don't just go and they're like, here you are, here's some testosterone, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then they say that I've had some awful comments recently, a few weeks ago, and I can't physically say what they've been saying.
Yeah. You can say them in rhyming words, I'm
But
sure.
like, but I've got kids myself, so I'd never be that sort of person. But giving that is a big clue to you, what they're calling me, and
I
saying
know,
that
I hear
we're allowed around kids, and kids are going to want to be like us now, and that everyone's got their own mind. I think kids should know that it exists and it's okay to be this way. They shouldn't know absolutely everything ins and outs when they're young. Do you know what I mean? But that's what I get a lot, that we're teaching kids bad things, and yeah.
Well, I'm not teaching kids anything. I'm just trying to live in this crazy little world that we live in and trying to do the best I can. And as I said, you know, I'm the oldest one here on the panel, so I've seen a lot of it over the years. Believe you me, the things I've been shanked, I've been glassed, I've been bottled, all that kind of stuff in real life.
Well, I'm only 32, and I didn't know it was a thing when I was a kid.
Yeah, same.
What, Jackie?
So I can just add something. I'm working a little bit here on rumours, so it's not 100% that I know the facts at the moment. But over the last few days, we've heard about the Vivian, right, who is sadly no longer with us, right?
Oh.
Now, the story that I've been hearing is she went on blankety blank on an episode pre-recorded around about Christmas. And then between Christmas and whatever date this has happened to her, she's received so much abuse. It's unreal, right?
Who? Sorry, I didn't hear who.
The Vivian,
Oh, right, okay.
yeah, right.
But she's not trans, though, is she?
No, but it's still the hate. It's still
Yeah,
the hate.
but the differentiation that I'm trying to get to, Jack, is she's not a trans woman. Rest in peace, Vivian. It was a gay man who's a drag queen.
But it's
You know,
still the
the
same
issue
hate.
is-
It's still the same
Yeah,
hate.
but I know, but the
Yes,
issue
but
is
we
not.
have our own battles to fight, so we can't be fighting everybody else's as well. Like they. I'm not saying that we shouldn't support the loss that a community has had, and absolutely, R.I.P. Vivian. But in the same breath, there's a difference.
He's a gay man who's a drag queen.
And hate of a drag queen or somebody who's gay.
But you know, see, my point about it is this whole thing that, you know, this whole side of TikTok where it seems to be acceptable for people to call us all sorts of names and you know, call us he and you're this and you're that and you're this and that. You know, it's just, I've seen some things that I just didn't even know were really going on. Because lately I've been going into other trans people's lives and getting in the bottom. And the things I'm seeing in the comments, I'm like, what? Because I don't see it in my life because it won't be tolerated. So I'm actually seeing these things kind of with fresh eyes, and I'm really fucking blown away by it, of what people are actually going to the lengths, and nobody's picking up on it. Nobody's saying a stink about it. Nobody's saying, oh my God, you know, did you see what happened to somebody in the live? They were calling them all. Nobody picks up on it. Unless we're doing something wrong or, you know, we've caused a scandal, then we'll be, you know, on somebody's effort.
I feel like it is, though, is that if we do get all arsey about something, you get called aggressive, and that makes you a man. Oh, I see the man side coming out in you now because you're getting angry. So you're not even allowed to get arsey about it, because next thing you're being called a man for getting arsey.
Well, all of them are just words, aren't they? In that respect, I mean, that's a particularly triggering word for the trans femme community for the facts are being referred to. So that's a known below the belt target. Do you know what I mean? So that's always going to come in, no matter you. Do you know what I mean? Even the most I hate the word passing, but even the most passable trans men, women are corrected or bullied for being the opposite gender, or having a trans femme a particularly masculine voice, or a trans masc particularly feminine voice, and so on. There's yeah, go on.
No, sorry, I was just going to say hi, Bailey, because Bailey, I think, is the youngest on the panel, aren't you, my love?
Yeah, I'm 22.
Right, there you go. So, you know, a 22-year-old, you know, she's young enough to be my granddaughter, for fuck's sake. So, you know, as the older we can kind of, not that we should take it and stuff like that, but I always have this thoughts on, you know, it's like EQ said a couple of times, you know, for future generations. I know it sounds all very happy clappy, but it's true, because Bailey is 22 years old. So what's going to happen when it gets worse and worse in 10 years, and we don't stick up for ourselves, and we don't try and, you know, put a lid on it the best we can. How's it going to be for her? Then how's it going to be for somebody 10 years coming up who's just starting their trans? They're going to be absolutely terrified to even go on social media. And the beauty of social media, an old goose like me, is that you can be free to express yourself and, you know, be who you are, hopefully, you know, without any repercussions and stuff. But even that's being shut down because, you know, we're just being abused on a daily basis. Do you get it, Bailey? I mean, how do you feel at your age this evening?
I mean, I've been out as trans since I was 15, so it's like I've been out as trans, I've been socially transitioned since I was 16. As soon as I left school, socially transitioned, I was already getting bullied in school. I was like, yeah, maybe not add a little bit more onto that. I'd rather not. I was transitioning throughout college and I was getting comments off girls and men, and I was like, okay, I don't know how to react.
This is in real life, right?
Yeah, this is in real life. And then coming onto social media as a trans woman, it's, you know, a little bit difficult to even have a place where you can have a voice, because all these people are like, no, I'd rather not. I'd rather not listen to you. You're nothing.
They don't want to hear about it, do they?
Yeah, exactly. It's like going off of what Jackie said about when it said like male masculinity and stuff. In a few debate lives I've been in, where I've actually like raised my voice and like tried to come across, you know, as passionate. They've said it's like a manly aggression. I'm like, no, I'm passionate. They're like, no, it's male aggression. I was like, okay, so with Sally doing that, what's that? And they say it's passion. I'm like, so why can't I be passionate and she can? It doesn't make sense.
But I also find it as like on the internet. This is why I said, for me, it's like, you know, strangers on the internet typing whatever. Because I know, you see, back in my day, it wasn't a hate crime. The police would laugh in your face. When I was, you know, shanked and that, nothing ever happened about that. They were laughing about it, kind of thing, literally in my face, in the hospital. But what I'm saying is, like, you find that people in real life nowadays, you see, that's why it's a wild west on the internet, because in real life, they know if they can think these things about us, but if they actually say those words out loud, man, this, trend, all that kind of stuff, they know within a split second, nowadays, we're going to put a phone in their face whilst we're calling the police and filming it and have their ass arrested. But this is why the thing on social media is why people think they can get away with it so much, because there's going to be no repercussions for it.
I think the reason also why on social media, especially at the moment, and I'm going to speak on Chelsea's behalf, the amount of shit Chelsea gets from the trans community itself, I've had it myself. Trans people arguing with one another within the community, whether it be on lives. I've played a part in it myself, so I can't say that I'm innocent. But I've now realised, after taking a step away, it's really bad, because people see us arguing with ourselves online, going back and forth. They don't think that's okay because they've seen a T-girl say the trans slur to another T-girl, or somebody say something about someone's transition because they're not on hormones, or whatever it is. I've always said to people, the only people, I can't get my words out, the only transition you should be focusing on is your blood bloody own, and nobody else's, because ultimately I'm not going to sit here and tell somebody whether I think they're trans or not. I'm not going to sit here and discuss somebody else's transition, because that's not my place to. And I think a lot of other trans people on this app need to take heed in what I'm saying. I've had people talk about my transition, and I've also talked about other people's. I've seen two sides of the coin, and it's not right and it's not fair, and it needs to stop, because other people like Chelsea Liart, for example, think it's okay to call people the T-slur because she's seen other people use it from the trans community calling it each other. And that's what I think is so
that's
important.
The thing, Dimitri. This is the point. As the oldest one here,
10 years ago, it wasn't like this. Why is it like it now?
Well, because people just be flippant about it, and when people who are not trans see us doing it, and this is the point I want to make, you know, as a community, if we're going to come together with this, we need to stop first and foremost doing that to each other in public, on a public platform. If we want to kiki with each other's texts and stuff like that, you can call each other brannies till the cows come home. That's all swanky. But when we're doing it in public, then we're allowing, oh, well, they're doing it. It's like, you know, some people, I've heard people's excuses in the race thing over the years. When somebody drops an M-bomb, they go, well, they say it in songs. Well, you can't say it.
Yeah.
Just because somebody said you can't be doing that. So we shouldn't be doing that to each other in public. You know what I'm saying?
God, Lemonade jumped on me skin, Tommy. Good grief. Yes, my love. Thank you so much, Tommy. Sorry, I had to speak it right there. Thank you, Tommy. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Love you, Tommy.
So yeah, and I'm just going to say I'm not going to look at the comments, but if there only are trans men and women in the comments, and you leave your beef at the door, but can we just stop? And I'm going to start that thing off, actually, by the past couple of weeks, over a couple of months on and off, I have been in dolls' boxes, or I have said horrible things about or directly to some of my trans sisters. So I'm sorry, period. That's it. I'm sorry.
We make mistakes, you know what I mean? Sometimes we all have to make that mistake to be able to learn from it, and that's on growth, do you know what I mean? And this is what I always say to people.
We need to stop it, Dimitri, with each other. Sorry, we need to stop, because, you know, and then it takes to have this conversation now. And the thing was, I said to Queenie before, the stipulation is we don't get any, it's not a debate, we don't get any non-trans people up in these boxes, because they need to hear what we're saying. Like, we're having a chat in the front room, that they need to know how we feel and what it feels for us. Because, you know, I think any kind of hate crime is disgusting. Do you know what I mean? And I just see it year after year, decade after, getting worse.
Or damaging to the community. Say, for example, I've seen a couple of comments saying about misinformation. If somebody's giving out misinformation or doing something that is very, very damaging to the community, call it out, but don't talk about their transition or get personal with it. You can call out, but you can separate. It's like you can separate the art from the artist, if that makes sense, that old saying. Yeah. You can separate what that person is as an individual, because I feel like when one person in the trans community does wrong, without me mentioning any names, we all get tarnished with the same bloody brush, because unfortunately that's pushed to the forefront of the FYPs. And I think that's what also gives us a bad precedent. But if we start showing people that that's a 0.0001% of the community, the rest of us aren't like that, most of us just want to go about our days, transition to the points that we think that we want to transition to, and get with a man or a woman, whoever we want to love, go to IKEA, have a bit of a to-do, and then go home, go to sleep, and then wake up the next day. You know what I mean? We just want to be like everybody else. So.
But also, I'm sorry to interrupt, I'm terrible for that. I want to bring up some of the things I see, and, you know, we're not here to call names, or I'm not going to be doing any of that shit. But I'm saying there are people on social media that will use us for monetary gain. They will say that they're going to do A, B, C, and D, right? Mm. And that just makes us look really fucking stupid.
That's
but what happens is, when I voice my opinion, and so did Queenie, and I don't need to say the person, you know, I'll say.
No, please. Everybody in the chat is asking if you can all give your opinions on Alphabet and the trans.
That's what I'm about to do, Queenie. That's what I'm about to do. Yeah, that's what I'm about to do. So my opinion on this, okay, is when I see somebody using it as a trend or a way to get monetary gains, yeah, I find that really, really harmful to the trans community.
Harmful,
as an elder in the community.
Offensive and disgusting. I refer to him as soft lad. I refuse to call him anything else.
Let me just finish my opinion on her. I'm going to be respectful and say her, because for years I've called most of my gay friends her anyway, so there's no big deal for me.
Right.
But it's just, listen, in my opinion, she is doing it just for trending things, to make money, to be popular, whatever reasons they're doing it. The bitch thinks she's a witch, for God's sake. She thinks she's going to fly up to Oz in this magical fictional story. Well, go and fly, lady. Go, fly away, darling. Just stop telling people, like, you know, you admitted to about the Tourette's and everything else. Just fess up. and just say, you know, I made a mistake, I'm not really that. Because it's just the more you lie and the more you perpetuate it. And I want to make one thing very clear. When I confronted her that day, it was all because of, I called her out for I believe that she was ripping people off for money for her transition, and there's no intention of doing it. So being fraudulent or being a scammer. Called her out on Instagram, tra-la-la, she said she's going to do X, Y, Z to me. I saw her that day, I confronted, you all know the rest is history. Because I wanted you to say, listen, careful what you say on the internet, tra-la-la-la-la. And that's my view on her, because I don't believe she is. And people call me transphobic.
Yes.
For me to be transphobic, you have to be transgender.
Yeah.
So
So,
many people have the
I
same
wanted
views
to
as
hold
you.
your coat, Natasha.
what, love?
I wanted to hold your coat.
Yeah, well, I was never going to hit her. Just know that, people. I was never going to go that place. So that's
Yeah,
my
but the
view on Alpha.
point
But what
you
about you,
brought up-
Jackie?
The points you've just brought up about your beliefs on her are like not everyone's belief. She's got followers but
Yeah.
I hear that more than anything what you just said, and there's got to be a level of truth to it.
Her followers are children. Are we not getting that? And then people start, sorry, I'm getting quite angry. People start calling us pedalos and shit.
Yeah.
Because people like this are claiming they're our brothers and sisters, and they're messing around online with fucking kids. And then who gets the fall of it? We do. Queenie gets it, Jackie gets it, Kai gets it, Bailey gets it, Dimitri gets it, Abby gets it. Every trans man and woman in this bloody live right now gets it because of people like her. She's not the only one that does it.
I think
No, definitely.
genuinely, I think people like her, and this is where I do say the mental health services are failing, and this is not me defending her in any way, shape or form before anybody starts jumping on that high horse. Bearing in mind, because of what I do for work, which I don't say on here because, you know, I've seen situations like this where I'm saying this, adult social services need to be involved. She needs to be sectioned 136 by the police and put somewhere to have her mental health looked at, because the way I see it is, she's her age, but she's massively under fucking developed. When I say this, I know you guys might not get it like that, but when I say this, I don't think right now she has any means. She wouldn't even pass the gender dysphoria diagnosis on mental health capabilities. She wouldn't even be able to complete a transition hormonally, surgically wise, because she's
doesn't
not
want
in the
to,
mental
Dimitri.
capacity to be able to, even if
said
she
it
doesn't want to.
herself.
But I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to sit here and judge somebody if they don't want to. Whatever somebody chooses to do with their life, I'm not their keeper, and I'm also not somebody on here that's going to sit here and judge somebody for what they want to do. I don't agree with what she's done with the money, spend it on shit that she shouldn't have spent it on. At the end of the day, I don't agree
She
with
got it
that.
under false
I'm not going to be
pretenses,
a
Dimitri.
person and sits here and says that somebody's not transgender. I'm not a gender psychologist, and I also know gender dysphoria affects everybody differently, and I'm pretty sure all of us in this box have been told we're not really trans at one point. Do you know what I mean? We've had somebody tell us we're not trans, so why are we doing that to everybody else? And this is exactly what I mean, because people see you saying that about Alpha Bar, regardless of what we all fucking think about her, nobody deserves transphobia, regardless if we think they're trans or not. Do you know what I mean? If somebody wants to say they're trans, then just fucking respect it. You know what I mean?
It has a
Simple as that.
detrimental effect on us, Dimitri.
It does have a detrimental effect. I agree with what she does. You know, how somebody-
Let's not argue, guys.
Can I just intervene for 2 seconds? I think Dimitri doesn't really understand because he's not a trans woman, so I think that's for the trans women maybe to pick up, because I'd like to hear from Jackie about Alphabet.
Well, first of all, there's been so many problems that this person has caused with regards to fake diagnostics, with regards to minors, right? There's so many games. This person is a classic narcissist. It's lie after lie after lie after lie. And to say that this person needs help, I don't think this person needs help. This person needs prison, because they are a classic narcissist, potentially a psychopath, right? And there's no way on this planet that this person, and I'm saying this person because I can't bear to call this person a she, right? There's no way that this person is trans, because for me, I can't see the public in any way. I can't walk out my door in any way without doing my hair, without doing my face, without looking my best, right? This person goes on cam in front of 2, 3, 4, 5,000 people, looking like, well, Neil from the Young Ones,
But Jackie, I'm sat here with not a stitch of makeup on, so it's not always about the makeup. It's more with that person about the deception and the deception of getting stuff and using our name.
That's what I know.
Do you know what I mean to me? Using our name and stuff like that.
I get what you mean. It's like, I
think
get
the
obviously
term
saying
trans itself, I genuinely feel like the term trans is even at the moment unknown to the fucking trans community, because it's just
I'm not gonna lie, I agree.
It's the biggest umbrella I've ever seen for anything.
It's not raining though, Abby.
It covers so many people and so many different diverse facts of life. Like, I'm sorry, but there is limits. There is limits. And
I feel
I think self-ID
I'm not
and just
gonna
being
lie,
able
we
to
can
say I'm trans is acceptable is not acceptable. You fuck's sake, I'm more of a believer. You should have a bloody ID card. You should have to go through psychological help to prove that it is a genuine issue that you have with yourself, and then go from there. And you're not allowed to identify as trans until get a driver's license. That's
One minute, Dimitri, sorry, 1 minute. Can I also as well, because Bailey's basically 2 years older than Elphaba, so that you have that. No offense to us older ones, but Bailey, I think, has that in common with the age. What's it called? Oh, I don't know what it is. You know what I mean? But the age,
the generation.
So you are actually right in the middle of that generation, Bailey. So
I mean, I was just about to say, I don't have any connection with her. No, thanks.
No, I know, but do you think it's damaging? Do you think she's damaging?
Yeah, it is very damaging. I mean, from
as a 22-year-old,
as a 22-year-old looking at a 20-year-old portraying that they are trans, and then walking up and down the street with the trunk, blowing in the wind, and walking like they've got carpets under their arms, like a cross-dresser for a Benidorm, walking up and down the street in heels. It's like, I don't want to be viewed the same as you, because then that's going to be put on me. And then it's the same for, like, what people need to realise is a difference between organophilia and being trans.
Thank you. There's the word. People don't want to hear that word though, Bailey. They don't. They think it's really horrible thing to say.
I'm not being horrible when I say this, but we're all sat here as people that pass very fucking well. If people walk past us in the street, wouldn't have a clue if we were transgender unless we said, right?
Not always. That's again.
This is let me just say this.
Please don't argue with each other, as I'll drop you right down.
Unclockable. And when I say this, we're saying this, but with the greatest respect, there's been a time that we haven't all passed, and we all haven't exactly looked like that gender that we now identify with. Do you know what I mean? We all start somewhere.
And we weren't conning people out of money, Dimitri, and lying about it.
Yeah, obviously, I don't agree with this. Is what I'm saying. I don't agree with the money and the.
Oh,
I've kicked him out. I've had enough of him. Get someone else in, Miss Natasha from the panel.
Yeah, I'm just going to.
He's a troublemaker anyway. I was surprised he was even here, to be honest.
Here we are, Sebastian.
I feel like that's what she's done most strong in all of this, is give her viewers and her followers the false sense of where that money's going. And
it's fraud. And how does that look for us, Kai, when that's going on in our community? What does that make us look like?
It makes us all look the same, which we're not, but it gives other people that idea that we are exactly the same.
I've spent time saying to people over the past 2 years, we're not the same people. We're not part of the same gang. Please don't think that we are all like this person. Please believe that some of us are nice. I've literally been begging people to understand that this person is not part of our community and is a one-off.
Yeah.
I've literally begged people to understand that.
But we get called all sorts of names when we bring that up, Jackie, unfortunately. But I'm all about. Some people. I get a bit salty sometimes, and I say things maybe I shouldn't, and I can be a bit of a grumpy old bitch. I know that. I know what I'm like and who I am. I'm set in my ways. But I just when I see what goes on, especially with massive platforms, and social media is the new thing. I'm an old girl. I'm the silver screen. This is the way. This is where it all happens right now. Look at this. Do you know what I mean? So it's
Is
what
there not a
goes on
sense of-
here that we get abused for. I'm getting called the P3D or whatever you call it because of being associated, you know, well, you're all the same. Are we? Are we all the same?
No.
No. We've all got our own journeys, our own stories, our own lives. And some things we might have in common, some things completely different. And let's
No two transitions are completely the same.
But let's just bond together with everything that we have got in common and respect the differences. It's as simple as that.
Hey, Sebastian, how are you?
Can I just ask, is that 27,000 people watching?
I don't know. I don't look at numbers,
Does it
Queenie.
say 27,000?
I've got
It says 4.2k. I've got.
Why does man say 27,000? I was like, what's going on? Nevertheless, 4.2 thousand people send you daily heart me and make sure to follow me.
There's 10 people.
Oh, you little
10
crust
people.
maker. But, you know, I hear you, girl. And I appreciate you letting us do this, Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? I do appreciate it. And, it, you know, this is why I wanted it to be like this. I don't want it to get all heated and stuff like that between us. Do you know what I mean? Because this is not showing good stead within the community. And, you know, we all have our opinions on that person. I have personal experience, and that's why I have my opinion. I just find it insulting when somebody is openly deceiving people by saying they are this way when they're not, when they could just live their life the other way and nobody would care anyway. They'd probably get more respect if they did that. Do you know what I mean? I find that personally insulting.
I think it's when, you know, like it has been pointed out to her and she's been told repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly by people in the community, by people that it affects, and she doesn't stop.
No.
It's like, if you're not going to listen to the people that you're saying you're part of, whether you are or not,
Yeah.
then that's showing a complete lack of respect to the people that are saying, look, this is hurting us, this is reflecting back on us. You know, can you tone it down, or can you just not bring up the trans thing and just focus on your singing or whatever it is?
I nearly got arrested for it.
Yeah,
In reality, do you know what I mean? So it
crazy. I mean,
it's just
I
find it very frustrating, and I get called names and I get all sorts of things because of my views on there that you can't say if somebody's trans or not, and da 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 da. Well, who are you to tell me I can't say that?
Yeah, I can. I've got the experience to voice my opinion. And the thing is, if it was just me, then maybe I'm wrong. But there's lots of us saying the same thing. Lots of us.
But again, I feel like this brings me back to what I was saying earlier about the trans being such a like, I'm not saying to totally disassociate, but from the trans, obviously I can't do that as that's inherently within me. But at the same time, like, if they're going to put trans on a spectrum, then in comparison to where Alphabet is,
yeah, the other end. Yeah,
I'm like here, yeah, and that's not me on what surgeries I've had or how well I passed. That's just simply the effort I put into everyday society and fitting in with normal everyday societal things. Do you know what I mean? And she can't even meet that. She can't even they, she, who, them, him, what, whatever. They can't even meet that. So
it's like slapping us in the face metaphorically.
So
I
don't associate myself as being that on that same, call it arrogance or whatever you want to call it, but we are not the same. We are not the same. So
people will call you names for speaking like that, though, Abby, because of it. People will call you a hater towards the community and stuff like that. But you know,
so be it. Those are the people that don't get to know me. That's up to them. They don't get to know me and understand why I say what I say. But that's that.
If I ask a question to everybody, what would happen if Posey Parker made this person into a poster boy? If Posey Parker got hold of all the juiciness of what this person has done and has made this a centre point of a campaign against us.
But those people in those particular lives that have those views do that with any one of us anyway. They don't need any juicy anything. They'll do that to us. They'll take any one of us and put us up as a poster person, let's say. They do that anyway. It's not always about, you know, if they get hold of that one. They're doing it anyway. They've been doing it for a long time. in the public eye.
Natasha knows that I fell down the rabbit hole and started going into debate lives, trying to, because I was very early in transition. I've only been on hormones 2 years, and trying to find a balance and trying to understand why people hated us and trying to find answers.
Yeah.
And I looked in the wrong places. But there are debates that have been going on for years where they will just find pictures of any of us, absolutely any of us, and they'll use them as backdrops. And if somebody's doing something that they just don't like, the one that went to Disneyland and talked about things when she shouldn't have been talking.
I don't watch those debates, Sebastian, because I my blood will actually.
But it's like they will use any of us. They will use. They don't care. And that kind of level of transphobia, because the transphobia that's on those lives is horrific. It's vile.
Oh, yeah.
Things get called. I'm not even going to give them the validation of saying what things are called. It's gross. I've been called AGP because I didn't transition until later in life.
Yeah.
Even though
some people can't transition.
So I'm like, how am I AGP? Never mind.
I was lucky that I got to do it very young. Some people aren't fortunate like that. I did it in a time. EQ got to do it very young and just got and did it.
I didn't do mine until I was 30. I hit 30 when I did. I'm literally on the 10-year marker now.
And then we've got Bailey at 22. You know, but some people aren't in the position to do that. And people will also judge, and the non-trans people will judge, like what you said. Oh, because you're an age, you know, you must have, you know, whatever. You know,
But it's like those lives don't get called out. It's like you go into some of those lives and there'll be, you know, 1,000 people and whatever, and they don't get taken down. They don't get called out. They don't. And trans people, I made the mistake of going into those lives thinking I could make a difference.
You can't.
Yeah, you really cannot.
People don't want to listen to reason. Yeah. People like that do not want to listen to reason. They don't. That's why I don't go into panels and stuff normally.
But Abby, unfortunately, some of our brothers and sisters will go in because they think they're going to make a difference. But if we all stopped, and I'm going to say this, there's people on the app in the community that will dual battle people for money that are being outwardly, openly T-phobic to them right there in front of them, but they're battling them. Why would you do that? Why would you, for the sake of some coin, go up against somebody that when you've muted them, the other side, they are saying all sorts of hateful things that are criminal in this country?
That's people basically letting other people know it's okay, and it's not. So you shouldn't, should you?
No.
I mean, people also think that you get the whole thing like, oh, it's just because you're being misgendered. It's just like, no, what you're saying is actually vile. You're calling people mentally insane. You're calling people AGPs because you just don't like them. You've got no evidence, nothing to back that up. It's just because you don't like them.
But why are people on mainstream UK TikTok? Why are they not showing these things when they do the FYP shows? I'm not calling any one particular person out. I'm just saying why don't they do it? Why don't we get that kind of coverage of this disgusting stuff that's happening to us on a daily, 24 hours a day? Why is that not being?
I mean, every time I've tried to do a video on it, it's gone.
Yeah.
I'm going against community guidelines by trying to call this out, that these people are calling us worse than you would call an animal, like serious, like grotesque language in groups, and they think it's funny and it's banter and it's protecting women's rights or whatever. No, it's not. You're not even talking about women's rights. You're just slagging off trans people. And it's, if you try and mention it, your video gets removed.
Yeah.
So it's like
people. It's not. It seems like we just don't matter and stuff like that. Can I ask, EQ Mings, is Deja or Barbie in Waiting in the Box? I can see there's people waiting. Are either of those two young ladies?
Would you be open to any of you? You can drop if you don't want to. Grabbing individuals up into the box for them to ask questions, because I think that would be good for the public to be able to ask a question. You know, obviously, if anyone drew, we'll drop them straight away.
How do you guys feel about that?
can to
I'm
me.
alright. Obviously,
How
if they
can
get
you
to-
educate people if we're not answering the questions they want? Obviously, the groundwork's been done, but I think people, because we're not going to let horrible
I see
people.
your point, but yeah, all right, I get your point. I get where you're coming from with that. Well, let's give it a go, shall we?
Yeah, that's good. Is anyone uncomfortable with that?
And Queenie, if I do get rid of, I will drop.
Yeah, no worries.
You know that, don't you, girl? So if I find it too much, I will. No, I won't drop. I'll drop them. Don't worry.
We've got EQ Minx on. It's all good. She'll.
I hear you. That's what I meant. I'll drop them, not I will drop that box.
Hi, Mandy.
Hi, lovely. I just want to know, like,
Hey, Mandy.
hey, nice to meet you all. I know Kai and Evil Queen, but I don't know all of you guys. I want to know, like, how does it make you feel when you guys are trolled when you're live, or if you do a post, like, talking about your transitioning and things like that? Like, obviously, I follow Kai and Evil Queen, but Kai does, like, videos like that, and I've seen other people in the comments are vile, like, but it'd be nice to know, like, how it generally makes each of you feel when people are being transphobic to you.
I'll go very quickly. For me, I don't ever, this is the first time I've ever come on and talked openly about this stuff. People know I don't do this because I don't have any flags. I don't present myself as a transgender woman. I'm like Queen, I present myself as a woman because I believe I am, and nobody else can ever tell me any different, and that's just my life. You know what I mean? But for me, I get in filtered comments, I get a lot of, every single day for 5 years I've been on this app, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year, you know, for 5 years, I get comments and they're filtered and I have to remove them and stuff. But for me, because it's been 40 years for me, Mandy, you know, because of my age, for me, it hits differently, because to me, I just see it as strangers on the internet writing words. But what does hurt me is how it hurts my trans brothers and sisters. That's what hurts me, not what they're saying to me, because it's been decades I've heard, but it hurts me how it affects the other people in my community. So that's how I deal with that, because I don't post about trans issues and stuff like that. I never do. I'm just a silly goose, but that's what I do. But it does bother me when I see other people getting hate and stuff like that. But for me personally, because I'm so desensitized, it doesn't hit me like that. So that's my answer to it anyway. So
I like that.
I feel like it's I don't know, it's a different one, because at the start, any sort of comment like that really bugged me. When I first came on TikTok, it really got to me, and then I'll get funny, should I leave the app? And then I've sort of got, in the worst way possible, because you shouldn't have to, got used to it and brush it off, and I read it and I'm like, oh, all right. And if I can make an educational reply to that comment, I will reply. I'm not going to just be there and take the neck out of myself. But if I can be educational about it, I'll use it to spread awareness. But I think what does worry me the most is anyone can be behind these screens, right? It can be troll accounts, it can be an actual person, but how do we know that person doesn't walk past our work or live really close to us and attack us from the outside? Do you know what I mean? And that bit does worry me. I've got a family, young kids, a wife. Obviously, when I'm at work and out about on my own, it wouldn't affect them. But it does make me think, how many people do we come across that troll us, that pass us on a daily, and majority of them are just keyboard warriors behind a board. They won't say it to your face.
You don't know, do you?
But some would. And that's what concerns me. Like, when's it going to stop? Because it could get worse and worse.
Yeah, I think as well, for me, when I used to see these comments, and you'd get these comments in groups, it seems like all happen in one day, and then you wouldn't get anything for a while. Your blood would run cold. And now I'm like, I can't be arsed. I'm not bothered anymore. Mm-hmm. And it says more about them than what it does about me. You know what I mean? They've got a sad little life that wants a bit of attention, so they're going out their way to cause trouble. And, you know, I no longer get upset. I know that they're doing it so I react. You know, do you want me to go, oh, how dare you say that about me? And now I'm like, nah, whatever. I'm not bothered. Ta-ra. And just move on.
Yeah.
That's because maybe our age as well.
Yeah.
With me, when I first started to go live, and like first started social media as a trans woman, like a few comments would be like, "Oh, I don't like this. What shall I carry on being on social media? Don't like it." And then, you know, time went on, started going live again, and a few comments, I was like, I don't really care anymore. And then I deep it, and then I sit there and thinking, what if there's younger people who are trans reading these comments and then we're too scared to come out because of these comments that they are reading. And I'm sat there, I'm like, right, do I react to them or do I not? Because it's giving them the time of the day. It's giving them my energy. But yeah.
Definitely. I would say for me, I can handle it in the live, but and I'm not saying that I give them any validation, but when I'm on my what I would deem as low days, when I'm not feeling 100%, that's when I tend to replay them. I tend to replay a lot of conversations I have had throughout the day constantly anyway, so that's like a thing for me. But when it comes to those, they don't affect me in the here and now, but then when I'm feeling low, those will be the things that will relate, and you know, misery loves company. That they will then they'll be remembered. They'll be, oh shit, I remember when somebody said this. Maybe I am, do you know? Oh, maybe my teeth aren't straight. Maybe my nose is crooked. Maybe do you know what I mean? And that kind of thing. That's how it affects me personally.
Can I ask Mandy a question?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I'm just to throw it out there. You're not trans, right?
No.
Okay, so how do you feel when you're in lives? I've never seen you in my life, so anywhere on TikTok. So how do you feel if you're in a live and you see people saying it in the comments, or even people in the boxes and they're calling us men, or they're calling the trans guys women, and you know, and all this kind of nasty stuff? How does that make you feel, though?
It winds me up. Like, Kai's a very good friend of mine on and off this app. And
he's lovely, isn't he? First time I've met him.
He's amazing. He's absolutely amazing. But it winds me up because I just think everyone has a right to be who they want to be. It doesn't matter if you're trans, anything. Like, you have a right to be what you want. I think people are just so opinionated when it comes to social media.
Yeah.
And type and say things that, you know what, sometimes I think some of these trolls and people that are saying horrible things come off this app or social media, wherever they are, and actually feel bad for the things that they're saying. And I think that actually, when people are trolling, especially trans people, anyone actually, to be truthful, it's a reflection on how they're feeling in themselves.
Yeah. Because they can't be happy, can they?
No, of course not. If you're happy, then you're not going to want to make someone unhappy. You would rather someone feel happy the same as you. Yeah. So when you're feeling down and you see someone that is happy in themselves, you want to bring them down to your level.
And that's sad, isn't it?
Yeah. But no,
unfortunately, it comes out in hateful ways. That's the thing, that the conversation here is of how, you know, they do it. It's just, did somebody just say some of it is banter?
It's not nice, because you don't know what any of you guys go through, any of us really go through off a screen. Yeah. You don't know anyone's life. You see 10 minutes of people's lives. I went live when I first came on this app. I went live with Evil Queen.
You poor thing. Oh, bye.
Luke.
Bad connection.
Well, let me see if I can get in now. 1 second.
Yeah, who else is there? I can't seem to rise them for some reason.
I can do it, don't worry. It's all good. I'm not rising trolls.
You do it, my love.
Just in case we accept a troll or anything. Right,
yeah, bitch.
Yes.
Well, this is going nicer than I thought. Do you not think, boys and girls?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. You all right, by the way? You all okay in the boxes? Everybody feels good? Everybody's...
Yeah. All good.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
I got a nervous weak bladder, so when I keep disappearing now, I'm just popping for a wee every time.
All right. When you're going, hello, Miss Mackenzie.
Hello, gorgeous. How are you?
Nice to meet ya.
Yeah, you too.
All right.
Can you ask me some questions, please? I'm a bit nervous. Like,
you nervous?
I know. You won't believe it, would you?
Side, Portia.
You won't believe it. So yeah, ask me.
Well, how do you feel when you see when it's said to you, when somebody's transphobic to you? And I want to ask you a question about our Queenie as well. What are your views on the way she's reacted? I heard she was setting fires today in some live. I wasn't around. I've had the day off TikTok, but I heard she was fine starting fires today, and you know, whatever. But how do you feel about her reaction? What do you think about that? Do you understand why she did it? Or do you think...
I mean, when someone's coming for someone who's trans, I think we're all going to have a reaction, and we're all going to have a negative reaction no matter what happens. What's my view on Evil Queen's reaction? She's got every right to have that reaction because of people was coming for her, and it's simple as that. Whether it's a trans person or not coming for her, there's still somebody coming for her, and you know, her transition or you know what she's done. So she's going to have a reaction. It's going to have an impact on her to a point that she's going to have to then put an impact on somebody else, so they know how she feels.
How do you deal with it when you get it? Do you get it? I'm assuming.
I always get it, but I always get it, but I tend to laugh it off in that situation because, you know, if I feed into the trolls and I start getting upset with what the trolls are saying about my gender and my transition, then it's going to give them the ammunition to carry on doing it. So I tend to just like laugh it off or joke along with them. Does it affect me? It can affect me, yeah, of course it can. But I tend to not let that, you know, show them. I don't let it, you know, show that I'm affected.
What's your age? You don't have to if you don't want to.
My age, I'm 29.
You're a baby. See, I'm
not. I'm
30 years older than you, boo. So it's, to me, you're young enough to be my daughter. So it's kind of, you know, for me, it's to hear somebody of your age already desensitized to it, but then you're at that age with the social media thing. See, for me, I got desensitized to it with real life physical situations through the 80s and 90s, do you know what I mean? So
yeah, of course.
It's the fact that you're already desensitized at 29 on social media, surely that has to change a little bit.
I think what it was for me is I grew up in one of the roughest towns in the country, and I was all over the Telegraph and I was all over the billboards and everything, and my the title was SEX, I don't know if I can say it on weird, but SEX trans beats the bullies, basically, and I did. Because when you live in a town full of hatred, or you're surrounded by hatred all your life, you get so immune to it to a point where it doesn't bother you anymore, it doesn't affect you anymore. I do my own lives, and I do get a lot of people coming in calling me a man, but then I get other people calling me a liar, saying that I'm not trans. So I'm in this situation where I'm either a liar or I'm a man. So I'm getting a bit of both at the moment, but I think it's quite hysterical because, you know, you look at the people who's doing the talking, it's like, you know, the opinion.
Oh, yeah. Glass houses and all that shit, right?
Exactly, and I think half their houses have been smashed in because, you know, they're throwing too many stones at other people's glass houses, you know?
I mean, the things that, you know, how Queenie claps back, you know, I applaud her for this because she's totally ruthless with that. I have to thank God sometimes for the community guidelines because they're the things that stop me from going ape shit on some people in the comments.
Yeah.
But I've got mods that have been with me for 4 years, and they always send me a little WhatsApp going, 10 girl, breathe, count to 10. And I'll be like, stranger on the internet, and then I'm back in the room. But in the moment of it, I want to release like Queenie does. I just want to say like the most gross, nothing, I don't react in other ways. You know, I won't go for certain other things that hate on hate, but I want to say, you know, things to these people that are saying these things to me. I want to just tear them to shreds verbally, but I know I can't. Do you know what I mean? So thank God for community guidelines, but, you know, desensitized to it. But then there's a lot of people, trans people on this app, that really, really are in tears and get really badly affected by it.
Well, what about the other side of the coin? What about the other side of the coin with the ones that do the baiting, the trans girls that do the baiting in their lives?
Oh, when they got the back screen up saying, I'm a real woman, prove me wrong.
Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, I can take your husband.
Yeah, well, why would you do that? But they're our brothers and sisters that are doing this.
Clickbait, that's clickbait, that, isn't it? Right?
But why, that's what I don't understand. Why on Satan's earth would one of our own do that? For what possible reason would you want to do that?
Because it's easy money, or it's easy gain.
That's what I meant about about Alpha Bar Early. I nearly said Slicer Bar then. About Alpha Bar Early, doing it for monetary gain, and we're suffering for it. I know you find that name very funny, Jackie.
Yeah, because they all think we're all the same.
Slicer Bar, you get it. Think about it. But yeah, it's just, and that just, you know, so we've not only got our, you know, other people tending to be us, imposters, if you like, we've also got our own brothers and sisters making money off it and clickbaiting it.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I don't think people realise that, you know, a lot of trans people go through abuse from a very, very young age, and we have to live with that abuse from childhood. I mean, I was subject to a lot of abuse from my own parents growing up, and then I went through our school being abused, and I never got my education or qualifications because of the abuse I was getting. Then I had to go into the real world and still get abused for being transgender. So it's never an easy thing for us. And, you know, no matter what we do, all we try to do is just live a normal life. And it's kind of impossible when we're getting thrown hatred in our faces 24/7, and people don't realise that.
And it is 24/7, you think?
Yeah, and people seem to think that it's a mental disorder when it is actually being proven to be a medical condition. And yet you won't come for somebody else who's been, you know, disabled in a different format. So why are you going to come for us when in a way we are, you know, medically ill, if you want to put it that way. You know, we was medically ill, we wasn't mentally ill.
So what do you think of it? Do you ever feel like a lot of the app and, you know, the drama pages and all this just really just don't care, and they just like leave us, they just don't want to touch it almost?
Yeah, I think social media has, you know, it's impacted on a lot of people, and social media in general, it's encouraged transphobia, and it's encouraged a lot of hatred towards people that are different, especially TikTok. There's a lot of transphobia on this app, and people tend to feed off that. And, you know, you get people that don't understand, people that aren't even transgender seem to have like a massive opinion on us, stating, oh, well, you're still men. And my thing that I've been getting recently, like you stated earlier, in 100 years' time, you know, you're going to be dug up and your bones are going to be a man. Well, I've got news flash for you. I'm getting cremated, darling, so I ain't getting dug up.
No, I'm still going for at the side of one of the pyramids at some
Well, who's going around digging dead bodies up anyway? Like, it's just preposterous.
Exactly. Who's going to do that, Chelsea? What? It's such a ridiculous thing to say. Oh,
yeah. It is said so much.
But it's
maybe the people who say that I'll start going around digging their relatives up.
Do you think they are? Do you think they're actually there with little teaspoons like that, digging away, looking for branny bones everywhere?
I know, who gives a shit?
Can you imagine the actual scandal? Ooh, where are those brannies? Let's get them. I'm using branny as a B word instead of a T because I don't want to be called.
No, I hear you on that one. Yeah, it's
you know, girl. Do you know what I mean? And it's annoying. That's what it is.
I think we're silenced quite a lot, to be honest with you, with the real world. And if you want to go back to talking about Elphaba in that situation, I think it's because people look at Elphaba and then look at us and they categorise us as being the same as Elphaba, when that's not actually the case. Because, you know, she's had that much money to go private and she hasn't. Mm-hmm. And I think that's quite embarrassing.
5 years, Portia. 5 years.
Well, I knew I was transgender at 8-year-old, and I started, you know, transitioning at 15. So, you know, I've been going. I had my surgery 2 years ago, but yeah, you know, I did everything possible to try and be that person I could possibly be. But Elphaba doesn't even try. You know, doesn't even attempt to speak to people. Doesn't even. There's nothing to suggest that Elphaba is transgender or pre-transitioning. It's just, I'm sorry, but it's a lie. It's a load of
And just
shit.
to confirm, apparently Delusive Angie is saying this is a hate live against Elphaba. I thought you wanted to hear from the trans community about what we feel about Elphaba, so you don't want to hear from me. So this is just the girls and boys explaining how Elphaba damages the trans community, etc. So how is it a hate live when you just wanted to hear what the other trans ladies and gents thought?
We're opening ourselves up here and saying how we feel.
And this is another thing, like, it's like, take Delusive Angie, for example. She's now saying that this is apparently a hate live. Is this another form of her trying to, like, silence us as a transgender community? Like everyone else seems to, you know, silence us for speaking out, for speaking our mind and speaking how we feel as people and what we've been through as transgender people. We get silenced for that, because that's what it almost feels like. We're not allowed to speak up on our own opinions, what we've been through as trans people.
Because they don't see us as who we are. They're never.
No.
Do you know what it is, Portia? And people that are listening, you know, there's a lot of people that will in this day and age, especially the youth coming up, will see us, you know, and accept it. But most people in the world will never, ever see us that way. So we're up against it straight out the gate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that is a hard thing to do, but you learn to navigate around that kind of stuff, because there are people in the world, you know, if somebody calls me a man, I'm not going to lose any sleep tonight over it. It's nothing somebody hasn't said to my face 25 years ago in the street. Do you know what I mean? So it's not something, but they keep doing it and keep getting away with it, and people don't pick them up on it. Yeah, if I was to racially abuse somebody, can you imagine what would happen to me? I'd never be able to come live
I'm
again.
just going to switch a few of these boxes around because there's a few.
Go for it, girl. I'd never be able to come on TikTok again. You know what?
It is a sad reality, unfortunately, what we have to go through, and people don't realise that. You know, there's been so many times that I shouldn't have been here, and you shouldn't have been here, and
Sorry,
Evil
I
Queen
meant to
shouldn't be here.
accept this. I meant to accept this Johnny lad. Hang on, let me just disconnect this one. Johnny.
You're not a very good door woman, are you?
I never do boxes usually.
I know you don't.
I can see
And listen
people
again,
shouting in the
Chelsea,
comments.
we really do appreciate this.
That's all good. I just want others to be able to have a chance to.
No, and I like the way it's going. It's great. So
Yeah, Johnny's been shouting in the comments to come up, so I'm curious.
Oh, hello, Johnny.
Hello.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good. You?
I'm good, thanks. Is that a horse you're on?
It is, yes.
Lovely.
It's just a question to the panel. Because transphobia and racism are covered under the same law, what's your opinions on it? Do you feel transphobia is actually protected as much as racism is under the same law?
No.
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 No, you get a bigger punishment for being racist than you do for being transphobic. And I think I don't think people realise that being transphobic to somebody can make some, you know, again with being racist, it can actually make you want to, you know.
Yeah, people do that every day, Portia. In all walks of life, people from
They do, but I think you know, a lot of trans tend to do it. You know, there's a lot more trans doing it nowadays because of the hatred that they're getting. You know, everyone does it, but you know, look at the trans community, what they have to go through when it comes to.
Personally, Johnny, I don't think people see it as the same hate crime that it is, because it is actually legally a hate crime. But a lot of people make it less for us. For some reason, I don't know why.